Turn the fuck off. You lot are sick.
The first time I ever met you, you were talking to the police.
Surrounded by them.
Yeah, I genuinely, like, he was talking about 4 policemen, and he saw I had arrived, and just to make sure that it was all okay, I just saw this very slight just thumbs up whilst he was talking to 4 policemen.
Yeah, this was the old sort of channel, like, making its way into my new lease of life with Jay, and yeah, it wasn't good. It was basically a massive shit show, wasn't it? But within half an hour we were climbing up the O2.
Legally.
Legally, actually legally, they thought it was illegally. And then, yeah, from that day onwards, it was actually, you know, we did the filming, we got on well, and then when we properly actually filmed like a video for YouTube together was Fashion Week, which, how long ago was that after?
That's 3 years ago today.
3 years ago today, actually. So yeah, so that must have been like a few months after we first met on that day, and then yeah, it was sort of like we had an idea to dress someone who's not fashionable, sorry Max, and take them to Fashion Week and dress them like shit and then get them papped. So Max was that guy, and then we both sort of like, that video just birthed both of our channels basically. So it was from that moment onwards where we knew there was actually money coming in, and Max, I think you went from like 2,000 subscribers to like 50k in a week, and then we went from like 50k to about 300k like by the end of 2 weeks. So
yeah, you guys, I remember you guys going from 50,000 subscribers to 300,000 subscribers in genuinely like 4 days. Yeah. But Zach is someone that I generally would call kind of my best mate on YouTube, and it's really useful to have people like that, because being able to tell you what's working and what isn't working. And we will sometimes message each other and say, I didn't like that bit at the beginning, or that was terrible, and that is really super helpful. So yeah, that's kind of our story together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we just kind of go for questions. Anything you have, genuinely, I want to try and keep this as transparent as possible, because it's helpful to know the ins and outs, everything, rather than just kind of this facade behind the videos. So if you have any question, well.
Yeah, it can be like as boring sort of industry chat as you want. It can be technical about YouTube, it can be about funny stories or stupid shit that you might be curious about. Don't hold back, don't ask me about the raw wedding video, and we'll go on just fine. Also, I will just mention before we kick off properly, my bag isn't here. I did bring some goodies. I got 2 hats and a pair of no two-way shoes to give out tonight. Unfortunately, they're only in like a size 9 or a 10. But I'll fling the hats off, and at one random point I'll say ping, to which someone will say pong. And then if you're a size 9, only size 9s can enter that, because that'll be for the shoes, alright? Actually no, fuck it. It can be open to anyone who isn't a size 9, because I'm sure you know someone who is a size 9. So I'm going to throw that in there at a random point. I might forget.
They no two-way shoes.
Yeah. I tried giving them to Max, he didn't want them, so...
They didn't fit. And yeah. Right, should we just get going? Any question, any at all about YouTube, or just ourselves as people, which isn't that interesting. Who wants to go first?
Brave, nice one. Might go out the back.
What does your day-to-day look like?
For me, that's changed quite a lot. So initially my week would kind of be video creation, waiting for that video to actually work, and then 2 days of absolutely crowning on the edit. Now I've realised the videos that I get most excited about are videos that I can create myself, that don't require anyone else to say yes to something or organise. So other than that, it's now just editing. But I have recently hired an editor full time, which has been super exciting, just to be able to have the opportunity to think of creative ideas more often. But you've had an editor for a while. What is your day to day?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as fun. Like, our job is to make our lives look fucking amazing at all points, but the videos are only actually a very small part of it, which is amazing and they're fun and they're great. But the rest of the time, I just work in my office. Like, I'm on the laptop sending emails, trying to organise the videos, trying to come up with new concepts, admin shit like emails, paying invoices, like wear a lot of different hats. But like Mike said, like it's the most exciting bit is when you've got an idea and you think it's amazing, and then it's just like an all-out sprint to get that filmed, executed, and then I guess you're taking titles, thumbnails, like all that shit. It's just like you live in these little sort of 2-week pockets of like you come up with a great idea, you plan it, something will go wrong, you plan it again, whatever, and then you go out and film it. That's great fun. I chuck the sort of footage to my editor, and then it's all about just figuring out how to package it up and sort of make it exciting so you guys watch it. So.
What's interesting, I mean, I don't know whether it's the same with you, but I've realised recently, and it's a really bad trait I really want to kind of stamp out, when I'm out filming something that is seemingly really fun, I'm only thinking of the edit, I'm only thinking of have we got that bit for that part of the video, have we got the beginning of the video. Like I recently did a video where I essentially hired a private jet for like a couple of hours. Like that's an insane day to be having at work, but the entire day I was like, worrying about, okay, have we got this bit? Is that funny? How are we going to link from this section to the other? So I'm trying more and more to just actually just like stop and enjoy it, but that's quite difficult to do, I think, so you get faced with a problem in the edit. That's why we have voiceover.
Yeah, basically. But no, I relate to that massively. It's so hard to be. I think you become a bit desensitized because like our job is, in theory, to do mad shit and make that exciting, sort of, film that mad shit. But when you're doing the mad shit, like, you don't feel like you're doing mad shit. I keep saying mad shit. But I was speaking to the guy who asked the question like earlier, and the scientist guy, the planetary guy, but he was like blowing my mind with these like planetary facts, and he's like a content creator in that space. But to him, he was just like, oh, they're just facts. Like, I know this shit. Like, I know it like the back of my head. So I think that's so part and parcel to whatever you choose to do, you will become sort of like so ingrained in that as a way of life. Whereas like, I think if we zoom out, we do live pretty fucking weird existences on this planet. Like, what was you doing last night, Max? Tell the people.
Yeah, last night I played the world's largest game of Wordle. So, thank you for that reaction. The video might not be a flop. I went to the White Cliffs of Dover with one of the most expensive projector in the world, and I played a game of Wordle. Now I'm currently going to go back after this and edit that video because I don't want the trend to die. But that was like, but all of last night I had to drive to Dover for 2 hours, do the like freezing cold on the side of it, film it, and then come back. But the whole time I was like, oh, is that good? Is that funny? Is this interesting? Thinking about retention. Oh, this is really important. And Hayden Hillier-Smith, who works for Logan Paul, who's Logan Paul's editor, has said recently that he said create for people, not for analytics. So I think everyone's obsessed at the moment with like retention, like how are you going to get people to stick around to the end of the video? When actually we weren't thinking about that in the first place when we were making the Fashion Week video. We just wanted to do something that was absolutely bonkers. Anyway, I think we've spoken about this topic quite a lot now.
Do you want me to go in about retention? You got asked about
retention. No, that's a really, no one's asked about retention, so let's not talk about retention.
But if you do want to start YouTube and you want to know about retention, fucking pause to one side after this because it'll bore everyone else in the room, but it's so important. So yeah, I'll leave retention at that.
And next questions? Yes.
When you're making YouTube videos, is your goal to fuel the subscribers you've already had, or is it to make another viral video?
Really good question.
Great question. 10 out of 10.
Anyone who's watching on there was like, do we make videos for the new subscribers, new people watching, or returning viewers? Now it's interesting. On YouTube Studio, we have. You told me about this actually. We have two lines. There's a purple line and a blue line. Purple line is your returning viewers, and your blue line is your new viewers. And so I have recently started to go down making videos that is going to increase that blue line, those new viewers. But then there's an argument to say, well, then your old audience is saying, hold on, we didn't subscribe to this channel because of these types of videos. So it's about like kind of balancing that act between the returning viewers and the new viewers.
Yeah, I think YouTube's pretty different to like what it was when I first started watching it. Like, if you had 100,000 subscribers, you get 100,000 views a video or thereabout. Whereas nowadays, it's just not the case whatsoever. Like, there still are communities on YouTube, definitely, and you know, I've seen a few of you tonight I recognise from the comments and shit, which is amazing. But like, you always have to be growing the channel, because there will always be a constant cycle of people who just decide to watch someone else or just don't watch your content anymore, and you need to sort of keep that topped up. Someone told me recently, like, if you're not growing your channel, the channel's essentially dying and it's stagnating. And I think, like, I struggled for a while with sort of like thinking, oh, am I just doing this for the views and the growth of the channel and all that sort of stuff. And I understand from a business standpoint why that's so important. You know, we do need to pay people, we need to, we also just want to spend a shitload of money on doing dumb stuff, which is like what excites us ultimately. So there's definitely a balance, that's sort of it really. Like you sort of want to open the net. If you imagine it's like a fishing man, you're throwing out a big net, you're trying to get as many people as possible, but within that video, I'd hope that, you know, I'm making in jokes and I'm sort of like keeping those OGs sort of happy by doing that. So I hope that helps.
The fishing analogy slightly tailed away at the end.
Was that fun?
No,
Oh.
it could have been. But also, I generally think that YouTube is slightly more long term than we think it is, because I look at channels that have completely gone off the radar, don't upload anything for a year, and you think, oh, that channel's like dead, and then they can come back, and that audience is there if they come back with something that's really, really exciting. Someone I spoke to the other day said, you can take a break, that's no problem, breaks are like absolutely okay, but when you come back, make sure that video is one that you are really excited about releasing, because there is something really in there about scarcity. Like if you think of the biggest creators on the platform, some of them don't post very often. Mark Rober, like once a month, if that, maybe once or 2-3 months. But when he posts, everyone's really excited because everyone knows that video is going to be a banger. So that is just there are different ways of doing it. I don't think the daily vlogging style causes growth anymore. I mean, like
the way the YouTube algorithm essentially works is it used to be, you know, if you subscribe to people, YouTube will see that as like you want to see that person's content, whereas nowadays it's just not the case. There are so many content creators that like will get huge explosive growth because they've just figured out a formula that people want to see. They'll package it nicely, and you know, Bob's your uncle. YouTube will realise people are watching that shit and they're enjoying it, so they'll just throw it in front of so many people, and that's ultimately how you grow a channel. But the bottom line of that is you're just making content that people want to see ultimately. So if you figure out the source, and like I think we're halfway there. We're not even nearly there. Like my whole mission this year is to just get better at YouTube fundamentally, and that is just like not having as many questions in my head when I'm like, is that a good title? I don't know. So I'm like that every single week at the moment. So it's always going to be changing, but at the minute it's set up where if people watch a lot of your videos, retention, back to that again, and people are interested in the topic / title thumbnail, then you'll do well, essentially. So.
Next question. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry. I would like to hear fashion week.
I was going to call it bin bag lady.
That is really. What was the question?
so this is a selfish question about Fashion Week actually.
Yeah.
Not just in general with your videos too, but did you just put that video out and it like the algorithm just took it, or did you market like so much with that video?
That video is an absolute enigma. It is an algorithm killer. And this upsets me a little bit, but it also makes me so proud. It gets like probably more views every month than any other video we put out now, still to this day. And I think like the world goes through Fashion Week cycles where like London's been this week, Paris was like, you know, about a month ago. So every time that happens, it's just chucked in people's faces. Still unproven as why that actually is. I think it's a good video, but I don't think it's fucking 28 million views are good, so I don't actually know.
The beginning of that video is incredible. The first 30 seconds of that video, there is so much that goes on.
Yeah.
That, looking back on it, that is a banger of a video. But I remember you messaging me like, you said like an hour after the video had gone live, it was already blowing up.
Yeah, it was almost so immediate, but here's the thing with YouTube, like it gives you all the analytics, and then you think you know why it's done well, and then something you do completely opposite will do equally as well, if not like better. So it has you guessing all the time, which is why I hate the YouTube algorithm, but I love it, sort of thing. But with this one, we got told, like a conspiracy, I guess you could call it, by Nico and Milana, that apparently twins in the, this is actually an exclusive story as well, it's funny. Twins in the title of a YouTube video grab people's curiosity, and it basically like interrupts them enough to like sort of really grasp them. We didn't have a twin in the thumbnail, but what we did have was a lady from Made in Chelsea, was it?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Jessica Woodley, am I knowing the name?
Yeah, Jessica Woodley.
Just did. Jessica Woodley was posing with Max in a photo. She didn't really know what we had done, and her stylist was on the other side. So we used that as like the thumbnail photo, and the video started doing really well. And she thought it was because we were using her in the thumbnail, so she got really annoyed and was sending us horrible.
She asked for money, didn't she?
She asked for money, she asked to get the video down, all sorts. We do like, what the fuck? Like, no. But instead of telling her to fuck off, we just basically copied her stylist and we flipped her over to the other side. And it's this, I'm not even joking, the second we did that, the video went like that. So it had the opposite effect that she was hoping for. But I don't know, maybe that video was just successful because of the twins, who knows, but yeah, I can't remember the original question, but...
About how to, but I worry now that you've told the ways that your fashion week video did massive, and now if it doesn't within the first hour, then it's going to be really upsetting. That's, I think ultimately if it's a good video, people are watching it, people are enjoying it, that could only be a good thing, and then patience is totally on your side. I had a video with my private investigator video where I got a private investigator to follow me around for 30 days. Out of the blocks it didn't do very well. Like it was like a 7 or 8 out of 10. And then suddenly, 35 days later, I didn't change anything. It just went to where it is now. And so that's because I think the retention was still really, the retention was still really high and people were interested in watching it. So I think that the patience is also, it will find, YouTube I think does find good videos. I think that might be, do you think that's fair?
No, yeah, no, definitely. I just had a funny idea that every time we say retention, we should take a shot.
No! What was it? Was it Mia?
Yeah.
What's your question?
So I'm wondering, how do you know which idea would do well, and how do you choose which idea you want to do? Because, for example, Zach, like, you will go to the event, you will plan all of that, or you will even go to another country. So, like, how do you decide, like, I feel like this idea has place?
What's the headline? What is something that when you see it written down?
Not like written down, like the whole video idea. Like, for example, getting to this event.
I get you, but it all comes down to the title. Like, and it's a really frustrating part of YouTube where they call it the packaging, so your title and your thumbnail. Now, then if you have a really good title, you then have to try and deliver as much as you can on that title, otherwise it's clickbait. So we're balancing that line all the time. So let's say tonight, the title of me coming talking what? me talking tonight. If it was Max Fosh talks about YouTube, that's not a good headline. No one really cares about that. But
wait, there's a whole room.
Yeah, sorry, that is true. But if the title was the one secret about YouTube that you don't know about, that's a much more that suddenly widens the net from people who want to watch Max Fosh video to people who watch YouTube. And so then in that video, then you need to justify through the storytelling why someone clicked on that for the right reasons. So when it comes to an event with Zach, like sneaking a fake model into London Fashion Week, that was that headline and we managed to do that. But it purely depends on what headline you can make out of the event that you want to go to.
Yeah, I think on top of that, like you can sort of reverse engineer stuff on YouTube. So like you look what's done well in the past. Like the Strange Traditions series that we sort of birthed, and there's just loads of them in the UK, right? There's weird sports, cheese rolling, bog snorkeling, like all sorts of weird shit you've never heard of. We got that idea for that series because we got on Yes Theory's channel, put like most viewed video, and I think their most viewed video at the time was the abandoned like town in America with no laws. So that to us like showed us that curiosity evoking titles and like things that sound weird when you say them would do well. We tested it. Like the long and short of it is we don't actually know, and every time we're trying to like better that understanding. But and you get better over time, and you know what? Like we knew if we did a fashion week video again, which we did, it would do well. So you just, I guess it's just a case of making a load of videos, learning from the mistakes, and just sort of figuring it out that way. But you know, I still feel like I'm guessing all the time, genuinely. Like some you know, don't you? Some
you know, yeah.
But
also not being scared of doing videos that have already been done before. The Fashion Week video that Zach and I did, that was done by Uber Butler 2 years before and was huge. So we were terrified that when we did it, we were like, oh, you're just doing what Uber Butler did 2 years ago. There were a few comments like that, sure. But then when the video like surpassed that, then people, I remember going over and watching the Vice video and people commenting like, oh, you just copied what the Zach and Jay show were doing. And I genuinely think a lot of my idea creation, and I'm seeing it more and more on YouTube, and I think it really does work, is going over to videos that have performed really, really well, and then just putting your stance on it, your tweak on it. I did one where, and Yes Theory is the perfect place where I looked at their titles. They did one, I threw a party in the most boring town in America. I changed that to, right, what other things could you have in the UK? We don't have boring towns, but we have ugly towns. So I was like, what could I do? Okay, I'll tell the ugliest town in the UK that it's beautiful. So that's how that whole video iteration started, just by looking at a title of someone else's video that's done really well. I like that video, I enjoyed that video, what can I do to sustain?
yeah, nothing more to add. At the house.
Yes.
Yeah, segueing from that, some ideas they could go beyond the realms of YouTube, right? Some are so creative they could be public art installation or social action projects. So would you be looking to develop that, or are you focusing more on the YouTube career?
So Jay always really wanted to do, like, he would push that so much. He would be like, let's do something so big in the real world. Like I say the real world and the online world are two separate places, but let's do something so mad in the real world that it will like surpass YouTube and like be an online phenomenon. It would just be a thing in the world. And then we've thought, ultimately it comes down to, I mean, I think that is the sign of an amazing video which is captivated, like, unless you've done something very wrong and you'd be enslaved by the sort of worldwide news like Logan Paul did. You would have done a very, very good job to sort of like jump into, I guess, the mainstream world. I guess, I don't really know, like, I'm sort of shooting for that every time, I guess, to do something good enough to get mainstream appeal. I guess it's controversial, it's sort of hard to do, I suppose, but...
I think the main way you can do that is long term. So, and I've mentioned them before, and I probably will mention them again. Yes Theory have done this so well. They're a YouTube channel, and they've been, for the last 4 or 5 years, talking about seeking discomfort, getting out of your comfort zone. And as a result, they have one of the most, if not the most powerful community offline of YouTube. They have meetups in cities all around the world because they've had a clear vision at the very beginning and gone for it. So it's 100% possible. For me, I don't think that I'm ready for that yet, because I know what my branding is, the silly posh guy that makes silly videos. Like, I've genuinely the other day just changed the banner on my channel to silly to the max. So everything I do is silly to the max. Thank you. Do you enjoy it? Do you like that? Yeah, thanks, mate. Everyone who watches the videos are now either silly sausages, or they're part of the Fosh pit.
Oh god.
The Fosh pit it is! Or the other one was you're one of the Fosh fingers. Fosh pit it is. So I'm trying to foster that, but it would be around the realms of silly. But yeah, as Zach said, it's difficult for one video to be so big, because often people are watching YouTube, they want to be entertained. And I think if you're then trying to either sell something or promote something else outside of that, they're like, whoa, that's not what we came here for in the first place, we just want to be entertained. Depends what they want.
Did you ask about social action stuff as well, on that? Or did you?
Yeah.
You've done some great stuff about social action.
Yeah, like my first sort of answer was a bit of a bumbly mess, but yeah, like, we sort of, we got asked this on a podcast like very early doors, and I think like people on social action stuff, like people feel like everyone that I've met in the YouTube space feels like they should be doing more because they've got a platform, this and that. But it comes down to like a balance as well. Like I feel like there's a pressure to be expected to be talking about all these like crazy issues, which to be honest, like a lot of them I don't have a fucking clue about. We definitely felt that pressure to like do more. Early days of the channel, I think our second ever video was one for like Mental Health Awareness Week, where we basically like graffitied Bristol city streets with like short positive messages. That was Jay's idea. We did one with this homeless guy, which, not a homeless guy, sorry, he ran a homeless charity to help homeless people, where he basically turned like shipping containers into homes for the homeless. He's like a Bristol legend, like absolute don. And we just went and told his story, and that did amazingly well. I think the only struggle is like what Max was touching on. It's hard to make people give a shit. Like we are the silly guys who do entertaining stuff. To get serious and to make people like really care. It sounds so bad, but like that's not what a lot of people come to YouTube for. So like would love to do more stuff, but it needs to be right, and also like you don't want to do it for the sake of it. So every time we have done something, the audience has been absolutely amazing. Like we raised over 25 grand for Black Lives Matter charities last summer or summer of 2020. We raised 8 grand for that homeless charity. It's always a balance, right? Like I wouldn't want to become a charity channel, but I'm always open to those ideas and sort of like, I guess just it's just an extension of doing cool shit, but it's doing cool and also charitable shit, I suppose. So yeah, it's a balance. I love a lot of stuff.
Any more questions? Yes, you.
What do you think of TikTok? Because obviously it's really fucking people's attention span. So it's like 15-second videos. Do you think it's going to absolutely ruin YouTube? Or?
No, I don't think it's going to ruin long form content. I think they are almost two completely separate entities. Someone said to me the other day, a TikTok video is like graffiti in the back of a toilet in Times Square. 1,000 people are going to see it in a day, but as soon as they leave that cubicle, they're not going to remember what it said. And I think that's it's really apt, and I still think there is a huge market for long-form YouTube content. Now everyone's talking now about YouTube Shorts, do shorts guys, shorts are amazing. Now I do think shorts are great, but I haven't really seen anyone yet. There's one guy called Isaiah Photo who I think might be able to do it, of shorts fostering a community. You've got to think about what are you getting into YouTube in the first place for? Do you want the numbers? Do you want the 1 million subscribers or 100,000 subscribers? Then do shorts, 100%, because your growth is so quick. But you're not going to make any money from it. It's not that sustainable long term, because we've seen jumping from shorts to long form, it doesn't work. They're almost, as I said, they're two completely separate entities. So I think people will always want long form content. Whether that long form content is shorter, at the moment it's like the 8-minute mark is like the cut off ads. Whether that goes to 6 minutes, maybe. But I don't think we're going to be having the D'Amelios taking over YouTube anytime soon. Although they kind of already have.
Yeah. I think it's fucking people's attention spans. Definitely. Like I was chatting to 2 guys before this, and we got onto that. And the other night, like I was sat down to watch TikTok half an hour ago myself. Before it was like 11:30 at night. I was like, I'll watch it till midnight and I'll go to bed. It was only at 1:30 that I realised I was still on the phone. Like, but there's something about it which like it numbs your mind to the point where like I wasn't conscious enough to like say, hang on a minute, what the fuck am I doing here? It's scary. But like one thing that you got to think about is these companies are financially incentivizing some of the smartest people on the planet to basically get you to spend more time on their apps and social media like apps. It's fucking mental. So like rather than those people being used as a force of good, they're being used to like just pummel shit down your throat. That being said, I do love TikTok. It's very entertaining, but it's scary. It is very scary. And we also make content for TikTok. So
We do make content for TikTok.
Not a problem.
but it's not. Yeah, it's not enjoyable content.
No, yeah.
I'm not waking up in the morning being like, oh, I can't wait to make a TikTok. But that might be just me, and I'm just kind of repurposing. Oh, I have like a back catalogue of interview stuff that I've got. I'm like, right, just put it on TikTok. It's good for the brand. You know, it's good for the brand. But as I said, I do spend a lot of time on TikTok, and I kind of hate myself for it. Any more questions? Yes, please.
How much does like money factor into your ideas and the things that you produce? Is it like for bills to pay and things like that?
I fucking love money. No, I think me and Jay always approach YouTube from like a super business perspective. And I initially like felt bad about that. I sort of felt like this, for it to be making money and like good money, and then for me to be making good money was like, not undeserved, I don't think that's the right word, but like I felt a bit like grubby for doing it. But it's super important. Like what gets me out of bed in the morning is being able to like come up with huge ideas, which cost money, and then execute on them. And also like I have a vision of like building a team and like a cool place to work and like a new age media company that like you ain't gonna do it without money. So like as much as you don't want to have to worry about it and you don't want it to sort of blindside your judgment or like water down the content in any way, like it's super important. Like I spend about 15 grand a month like just making videos, and like, you know, I need to make that back somehow. So I think like we put a focus on it quite early on because me and Jay moved to London to like survive and live. We rented a really shitty like sort of house on Acton on a 6-lane motorway. You want to at least be on the road, so you need money to pump into this stuff. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna buy a mansion or anything anytime soon, but you know, I'd like to maybe when I'm 45. So
yeah, I think I don't want there to be an idea on YouTube that you need money to make really good videos. Like yes, some of the bigger, madder ideas do like need money to facilitate this happening, 100%. But then like I did a video a couple of months ago a couple of years ago that really helped my channel, which is when I became my parents' favourite child. Now that cost me basically nothing because I made like the contract came from one of those like online contracts.
what's your relationship with your sister?
I did ruin the relationship with my sister, but that's priceless. So the video ideas that can be completely like free, but the content is really fun. But for me, I will just if a video idea is good enough, but it's really expensive, I'll try and make it happen until you can't make it happen. And I had a call about a video series that's never going to happen because it's too expensive. But I wanted to create a 9-meter chicken and put it. And put it next to the motorway, looking as if it's about to cross the road. So it was going to be an enormous statue, and like I was getting quotes in for 60 grand, 80 grand.
What's that in the recent storm, mate? It fucking killed 5 households.
And even when it got to 60 grand, I was like, I can make this happen. It's going to be like, we'll do it. And then I spoke to someone who is a lawyer, and they kind of said, look, if it does fall and hurt anyone, you will be done for criminal damage. So eventually, that's unfortunately been shelved. We will never see an enormous statue of a chicken looking like it's going across the road. But I was willing to make like basically a huge loss. So I was probably going to only be able to get about 20,000 to cover that. So I was going to have to do something. But because I was so excited about the idea, I was going to do it. But if I wasn't going to spend time in jail.
Yeah, that's the thing. That, like, don't get me wrong, there are like some very flashy YouTubers, and you know, that's fine. Do what you want with your money. Me and Max get excited about this sort of shit, building giant chickens. Like we've spent such ridiculous amounts of money on just doing stupid stuff. Like this projector company that we've hired, like me to call Boris Johnson a wet wipe, you to what do you do? Forgot, sorry.
It's like the biggest dad joke in the world.
Biggest dad joke in the world. Like yeah, I mean like money is important because we get to do funny stuff. Like my whole like like a bit of a personal mantra for me is like creating stories for the grandkids, right? Like, I imagine myself as an 8-year-old bloke. Never in the history of the world, of people, have you been able to like, or will you be able to sit down as a granddad with maybe grandkids and make them watch my fucking like best years of my life as like a 20-something. So I found that so cool when I was like just sort of leaving university, and I was just like so fixated on that idea that yeah, it is sort of the only reason why I'm doing it, to be honest, just to be a cool granddad, maybe one day. So yeah, money, I guess, to tie it all together nicely, money is important, so you get to do cool stuff and entertain people and have fun and enjoy your life, I suppose. So. Pin. That was you. That was you. Congratulations, come see me after you got a pair of shoes. Are you still Great. Right.
You, sir. Yes.
If you woke up tomorrow and your channels were erased, no one knew who you were, but you were an aspiring YouTuber, what would be your strategy to grow in 2022?
Great question, and the answer is trend hacking. What a guy that I know a few of you got to know him, Fosh Zac, who recently did a video making the biggest prime bottle ever. Amazing, amazing thumbnail, amazing video idea. It's not a new video idea, it's not like breaking, it's like lots of people had even done the video maybe already. It didn't matter. It was about prime, which is something everyone's talking about right now. And the packaging was really, really good. The thumbnail was fantastic. And so that's how I would do it. What are people already talking about, and make videos about that topic. Do it in a way that's quite creative and it just changes the narrative slightly.
Yeah, just to add to that, I give a shout out to Mr. Liam Bedford, who's also in the crowd. He's what? How many subs do you want now? 35,000. And how long ago did that sort of burst happen?
About a year ago now.
So this was like Liam was like fucking loves YouTube. I know you through our mentor who I talked about earlier. You work at his company, right? And you did a video. What was it you did? Sorry, you made
I stole your idea.
You stole my idea. Yeah. So we did a video with Jamal Edwards where we made him a lord and we rest in peace. Yeah, very, very sad. And yeah, you basically did the same for KSI. And through that, got his attention, knowing full well he's so plugged into his community. And yeah, Liam made that video. How many views is it on?
I actually don't know,
a lot.
More on his channel. But
yeah, but like, you sort of, you attach yourself to the YouTube Go to the UK, and you made good content. It's not like it can be shit content, like it needs to be a good concept and stuff. And, you know, his KSI's community just came straight over and they like Liam as a result. So yeah, I'd probably do something similar. Yeah, jump on trends, sort of try and sort of collaborate with people for any means necessary. It's such like an amazing time because like you can get through to people. Aidan as well, who I know is in the crowd somewhere. You made a video like reviewing mine and Max's book, which we got to Amazon bestsellers lists. I did it first, but and I saw that video because we're all narcissists deep down.
Have you done that video before?
Yes, mate.
The Amazon book one?
Don't fucking play all calm down, mate. You can also just be very controversial.
Yeah,
that would work.
Yeah, that is another way.
A lot of people do that. I respect it. I actually like. I've been through so many phases of like just despising Jake Paul, but then I just can't help but respect how much like I don't know. It's a skill to be so unlikable and like consistently like you just get new wads of people just hate you. So that's an option. I mean, like one thing Jay and I always said was like, you know, like just as a person, like I don't ever want to be seen as a dick. So we had a rule of like, D-bad, don't be a dick. We did semi-controversial stuff with the sneak-ins and you know like, but I likened ourselves to like Robin Hood in that scenario, right? We're taking on the corporations, we're taking on fashion, we're taking on this. So we're like the everyman doing that. You want to, you know, you can get naked, run down Oxford Street and fucking kick a pigeon. That'll probably get you a couple of 100,000 views, but you don't want to be that guy, right? So yeah, you got to be conscious of how you do that. And that's, I'd argue, is harder than the other two. Then you've got your own mental health to worry about being hated by all these people. So.
Next question. Who's had their hand up for a while? You start at the back.
So I remember back in the day you used to hear about people selling parts of their channel for money or for stock or whatever that happened to Smosh. How present is that still nowadays, or is it gone away?
I haven't had any requests. Well, I don't know what my number would be then. Everyone has a number. If someone said, if I came to you, Zach, and said, I want to buy your channel, what would be the number that you'd be like, okay.
I think I'd hate myself.
Yeah, you would, but you'd be rich.
How much money will it cost to ease the pain of hating yourself? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to answer that question. Fuck you guys. So recently I've heard about these companies where they value the back catalogue of your channel. So rather than like you getting the AdSense for like, you know, the Fashion Week video, for example, still gets us money every month, and other videos that are smaller will do little bits of that. They basically buy the rights to monetize the content, so they'll take that over the course of say 5 years, and they'll give you a lump sum. I don't know how they work that out for themselves, but I had a conversation with one of them just out of curiosity to see how much our stuff was worth, and they said, we're having a really hard time because you've been so inconsistent valuing this, so that was fun. But yeah, I think actually there are more and more ways to monetize than ever before as a creator. I think that's the beauty of the time we're living through, right? It's like, you don't even need to have a big channel anymore. There are channels with 30,000 subscribers who are in a particular niche who make hundreds of thousands, if not millions a year by being the authority in that space. So yeah, I suppose that's a roundabout way of answering that. I think channels are probably very hard to value because, as I've recently experienced, Zach and Jay was a brand and Zach and Jay was a thing. Nice old Jay fucks off to Mexico. I'm still running a channel called Zach and Jay Show. What the fuck am I doing? So it's not as simple as a business, right? Like there needs to be, especially for investors, they would want some sort of longevity and sort of long plan. Whereas if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, the channel's worth nothing to no one because, well, maybe, you know, Max could probably do a good job of running it, but
what would I do?
Just go on weekly to just, I don't know, fucking say hello, I suppose. Yeah.
Can I have it?
No. But yeah, I'll put it in the will, maybe.
Oh, that's a good video. That's a bit morbid though.
Yeah.
Let's leave that there. Any more questions? Who said their hand up? I'll go to you at the last end and then come to you. So yeah, you said it.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about like brand deals? Like how many do you like accept normally?
Sure.
Out of, like
I have a rule with brand deals that if it's only if the viewer can see where the money has gone in the video will I accept a brand deal. Now, there are different ways that can happen. So for example, there's a very obvious way. So with the projector video, that cost £5,500 to rent that projector. It's one of the most powerful projectors in the world. So I can explain that in the video and say this costs £5,500, so I've got a brand deal on here. And on that particular video, I won't make very much money because the brand deal will almost entirely cover the cost of that and other things, and like taxes and all this kind of stuff. But alternatively, I did a video where I got porn stars to act in a movie to see how good they were at acting. Like the audience could see that I had put some effort and hired like a crew of professionals to do this, but the audience also knew that money was going to get demonetized because of the way that YouTube worked. And so I could put a brand deal in there. So I will only do it if the audience can understand. Now if I did a street smart video where I go around and interview people on the street, there's a 60-second brand deal in the middle of that, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? This is costing you nothing to make. So, and I think that being transparent about that with the audience is super important because Emma Chamberlain the other day said that the public is her boss, and so the viewer is my boss, and so I don't want to be pissing off my boss by taking the liberty and doing things that they wouldn't agree with. So I'll only do a brand deal if it pays for something in the video, and you're basically the same, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of stuff that comes in. Like some are hilariously bad. I wish I had like an email on hand to just. I can't remember what was one of the worst I got recently. It was a weed company. It was a weed company from America They just did no research. They were like, love your channel, totally fuck with your stuff. It's like, no you don't, I'm British, you asshole. I'm gonna get arrested for this shit. You get some funny ones in, but they're super important. Like our channel, Monetisation channel, we would not be able to pay ourselves and live, let alone like an editor and that sort of stuff, off YouTube ad revenue. And we do like a minimum of 2 million views a month. So it's like AdSense is a bit hazy, so you need to sort of plug in brands when you can. That being said, I understand the audience's frustration sometimes, and it sort of looks like, you know, you're cashing in big time. But like I said earlier, we've got costs that we need to cover. Also, if you, like what Max was saying, if you can sort of position the brand as the ones that are helping you execute this fun thing that you're enjoying, then that also helps. But yeah, I try and get one a month, but at the minute, this month I've not made a video yet. So there's no rules. If it's a cool brand, I think, you know, that'd be cool to work with them, then I'll accept. But there's also a lot of brands who just don't really want to pay. I think the ironic thing with YouTube is there's not many careers that are like this, but I think fashion's one where you get a wall total because it's like so hard to get in, so desirable that you'll be willing to run and get coffees for someone for 4 years before you even get paid anything good. When I was a freelance videographer, like I loved making videos, but I always knew there was someone that was willing to do the job for less than me. And it took me 1.5 years of there was one period in my life where I was every week was making videos with this brand new camera that I'd spent all my savings in Bristol, in one of the scattiest clubs you've ever seen, until 4:30 in the morning. And then I had to turn that video around for midday the next day, so I had to gather like 8 edits solidly. I was paid like 150 quid. Like, I think my point there was that when you're in like a sort of creative, fun, sort of desirable career, like you have to be very aware that like there are people that will offer you peanuts, and like a lot of sort of first-time creators who are like, you know, starting making money, they're getting offered like this and that, they'll get overly excited, but I think you need to know your value also as a creator. So that's been a huge learning curve for me as well, just like saying, you know, fuck, I know what this is worth to you guys, so yeah. Should we have one more?
Aiden? Yes, well, yeah.
Of all the projects that you've worked on or off YouTube, are there any that you have a bit of a soft spot for that you wish more people knew about?
It's a very good question. I think the one that I'm most proud of, I don't know the answer to the question, or what I wish more people knew about, was my stand-up tour. Some of you guys might have been there, and you were definitely there. And that was something that I stepped away from, and after that whole tour of doing 2 years of hard work for that, as a YouTuber doing something like that was something that I didn't think was possible. And so that was something that I was super, super proud of and hope to do more. So I'm going to be doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Edinburgh the entire month of August. If anyone's in August, come up to one of the shows. I'll be there, and we get a pint afterwards. So for me, it's the stand-up show, and then maybe from a video point of view, the Paris Fashion Week video I did with Zac, which was...
We don't talk about Paris.
Which we don't talk about Paris. But yeah, that's for me. What
I'd say like back to the sort of the charitable stuff, like the mental health one that we did like early doors on the channel. It was just so much fun to do. It's still, I think, the lowest viewed video on the channel, but I'm still so glad that we did it. Like we convinced like 30, 40 people to just come out from the hours of like midnight through to like 3, 4 a.m. to just graffiti the fuck out of Bristol City with like Bristol City Centre with chalk, and we actually did like crazy amounts, and annoyingly it got robbed out by the street cleaners at 6 a.m. before anyone had the chance to see it. We went on radio the next day to sort of call them out, but yeah, I mean that video, like it didn't reach I would have loved it to reach a huge amount of people, because like I genuinely think it's like such a powerful video, and just like I remember just feeling so warm and fuzzy when we did it, and that was really cool. Yeah, that's my answer. And we have to wrap it, yeah? Ping? Oh, that was too hard. I'm just going to throw these two hats, one that side, okay? But yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming. It's been fun. I hope it was good. Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
It's like we're on a baseball game.
Yes, alright. Ready? There we go.
There's the new ones.
Nice. Cheers for coming, buddy.